Welcome back to the deep dive. It's February 17th, 2026. I was standing in the supplement aisle at the grocery store yesterday. Actually, I was just staring at it.
Analysis paralysis. I know that feeling.
Totally. You have the whey, the casein, the pea, the hemp, the cricket flower, which I still can't believe is a mainstream thing now.
That's a thing.
And they all promise to turn you into a superhero overnight. It's absolute paralysis.
It is. It's the defining feature of the modern health industry. Too much choice, not enough clarity.
Exactly. And usually I think most of us just grab whatever has the coolest label or
whatever's on sale.
Or whatever's on sale, yeah. But today, we're stopping the scroll. We're doing a deep dive into a source that landed on our desk this morning. It's a document titled Organic Egg White Protein Powder, The Ultimate Buyer's Guide to Purity, Nutrition, and Value by Lauren Fabian from Ingredientsage.
And I want to set the stage here immediately for you listening. This isn't, a brochure. This isn't some blog post from an influencer. This is written for industry insiders, people who buy ingredients by the metric ton to manufacture the supplements you see on the shelf.
So we're essentially reading their playbook.
We are reading the playbook of the people trying to sell this stuff.
Which is my favorite way to learn. I want to know what they know. And specifically, we're talking about organic egg white protein. It feels like this stuff has been lurking in the background for decades, right?
Oh, yeah.
I have these distinct memories of hearing about Rocky Balboa drinking raw eggs.
It has been around forever. If you go back to, say, the 80s, the golden era of bodybuilding, guys were drinking liquid egg whites. We're using these really crude egg powders.
Ah, sounds gross.
It was gross, but it worked. Then whey protein just took over the world because it was cheap, it mixed well, and it tasted like a milkshake. But now, this guide argues that egg white protein is making a massive comeback, specifically for the clean label crowd.
Clean label, that is the buzzword of the year for sure. So the mission today is simple. We're going to strip away the marketing. We're going to look at the biochemistry. Why is this actually good for a human body? We're going to look at the manufacturing secrets. What are they hiding? And finally, the practical reality. Does it taste like chalk?
Spoilers. It absolutely can if you do it wrong.
Huh. Okay, we will get to that kitchen test later, but let's start with the why. Why would someone in 2026 with 1,000 options choose powdered egg whites? The source calls it a lean, complete protein. That sounds great, but isn't that just marketing fluff? I feel like I see lean and complete on everything.
Well, in this case, lean and complete are actually scientific descriptions, not just adjectives. Think about an egg. Nature designed it to contain everything needed to build a life form from scratch. But the yolk carries all the fat and cholesterol.
Okay.
When you isolate the white, you're removing that caloric overhead. You're just left with pure structural material.
So it's the building blocks without the fuel.
Exactly. A typical serving is maybe 20 to 25 grams of protein, 0 fat, and less than 2 grams of carbs. So if you're tracking macros, it's basically free protein. You don't have to budget for the fats you'd get in a steak or the carbs you'd get in a plant-based shake.
Okay, but I want to push back on the complete part. I mean, I see complete protein stamped on bread now. How do we actually measure that? Because the source gets pretty technical here with an acronym that sounds like a tax form. PDCAAS.
It does sound bureaucratic. It stands for Protein Digestibility Corrected Amino Acid Score.
PDCAA. Okay, let's unpack that. What does it actually mean for the person drinking the shake?
Think of it like a fuel efficiency rating for your body.
Okay.
You can eat 20 grams of protein from an old leather shoe. Leather is technically protein, but your body can't access it. It has low digestibility. A PDCAAS score of 1.0 is the gold standard. It means that for every gram you swallow, your body can digest and utilize almost 100% of the amino acids.
An egg white is a 1.0.
Egg white sits right at that 1.0 mark.
And where do other proteins sit, like plant proteins?
Whey is also a 1.0. But many plant proteins, unless they're heavily engineered or blended, sit closer to, like 0.5 or 0.7.
So you're not getting what you pay for, really.
You just have to eat more of them to get the same biological effect.
But the source also mentions something even newer than PDCA, something called DIAAS.
Right.
Why do we need another acronym?
Because science never stops moving.
Right.
DIAAS stands for Digestible Indispensable Amino Acid Score. See, PDCAAS is a bit dated because it caps the score at 1.0. It doesn't differentiate between perfect and super perfect.
Ah, okay.
DIAAS actually allows scores to go higher, showing that some proteins are hyperavailable. It looks at how amino acids are absorbed at the very end of the small intestine, the ileum. The guide highlights this to show that egg protein isn't just good enough, it's biologically superior to almost anything else in terms of how much your body actually absorbs.
So if I drink this, my body doesn't have to fight it to use it.
Precisely. It's essentially pre-digested efficiency. And that leads to the specific amino acid the guide obsesses over, leucine.
Leucine? I hear bodybuilders talk about this like it's magic dust. What is it actually doing?
In the context of muscle, leucine is the ignition key.
The ignition key.
You can have fuel in the tank, which is all the other protein. But if you don't turn the key, the engine doesn't start. That engine start is muscle protein synthesis. You need a certain threshold of leucine in your blood to trigger that repair process.
And egg whites have a lot of it.
They're naturally incredibly high in leucine.
Better than plants.
Oh, significantly. To get the same amount of leucine from, say, hemp protein or a standard pea protein, you'd often need to consume a massive amount of calories. With egg white, you get that ignition trigger in a tiny 100-calorie scoop.
Now, the text does play devil's advocate a bit. It mentions sprouted pea protein. Why bring that up if this is a guide about eggs?
It's strictly for the clean label comparison.
Yeah.
A lot of people choose egg white because they want to avoid dairy. Maybe they're lactose intolerant or whey gives them skin issues.
Yeah.
The natural alternative is pea protein. But pea protein, as the source notes, often has a kind of grassy taste and a lower DIAAS score. Egg white occupies this very specific middle ground. It's animal-based power, but without the dairy baggage.
It's the Goldilocks zone for a specific type of gut.
Exactly.
Okay, so biochemically, it's a Ferrari. But let's talk about how it's built. This is the label literacy section of our deep dive. The guide talks about farm to powder. And honestly, this is where I usually zone out. Organic, non-GMO. Do these stickers even mean anything anymore?
They do.
Or are they just ways to charge me $2 extra?
In the world of animal products,
Yeah.
they mean a lot more than they do on a box of crackers.
No.
Because animals are biological filters. If a chicken eats pesticide-laden corn, those pesticides accumulate in the fat and eventually in the egg. The USDA Organic seal on egg white powder isn't just about the chicken's lifestyle. It's about the feed. It guarantees the input was clean, so the output is clean.
The source mentions supplier scorecards. It sounds like these factories are being graded.
They are. And this is the insider part I love. Ingredientsage, the publisher here, advises buyers, the supplement companies, to demand these scorecards. They aren't just looking at protein content. They're looking for something called total plate count.
Total plate count. That sounds like a dishwasher setting.
That's a measure of bacteria. I mean, we were talking about eggs here.
Salmonella.
Salmonella is the big boogeyman.
Right. I wouldn't drink raw egg whites from a shell because of that risk.
And you shouldn't. But this powder is pasteurized. The heat treatment kills the bacteria. However, the guide warns buyers to look at the facility.
Okay.
If the facility is dirty, you can get recontamination after pasteurization. That's why you see certifications like kosher or halal mentioned.
I always just assumed those were religious designations.
They are, primarily. But practically speaking, for a secular buyer, they're also an extra layer of hygiene. Kosher and halal inspectors are notoriously strict. They physically inspect the processing lines. If a company pays for that certification, it usually means their cleanliness protocols are top tier because they have external auditors walking the floor.
That is a really useful heuristic. Kosher equals extra eyes. Oh. Let's talk about the shady stuff. The guide warns about proprietary blends. I see this on pre-workouts all the time. The Soul Matrix blend.
The Swole Matrix. Run away from that.
Why?
Because proprietary blend is a legal loophole. It allows manufacturers to hide the specific dosage of ingredients to protect their formula. In protein powders, specifically, it's often used to mask something called amino spiking.
Explain that.
Okay, so protein testing in a lab usually just measures nitrogen content. Protein has nitrogen.
Yeah.
But you know what else has nitrogen? Cheap filler amino acids like glycine or taurine. They're dirt cheap compared to real protein. Unscrupulous brands will dump cheap taurine into the tub to spike the nitrogen test, call it a performance blend, and sell it to you as 25 grams of protein. But biologically, it's worthless filler.
That is incredibly dishonest.
It's common.
Yeah.
That's why this guide emphasizes third-party testing, like NSF Certified for Sport or Informed Choice.
Okay.
These are independent labs that take the tub off the shelf and test it. If they say it's 25 grams of egg white, it's 25 grams of egg white. If you don't see those stamps, you're operating on blind trust.
And in an industry that's barely regulated, blind trust seems like a bad strategy.
It's a terrible strategy.
Okay, so let's assume we listen to the guide. We bought the USDA Organic NSF-certified single-ingredient egg white powder. We paid the premium. We're feeling virtuous. Now we go to the kitchen. And this is where the dream dies for a lot of people, isn't it?
This is where the rubber meets the road, or where the powder meets the water. Egg white protein is notorious for two things: the foam and the chalk.
The source describes the foam as significant.
That is a polite understatement. If you put pure egg white powder in a shaker bottle and shake it like you do with whey, you will end up with a bottle of stiff meringue.
Oh, no.
It expands. It's like drinking a cappuccino made of cement.
That sounds horrible. I'm picturing trying to chug a cloud.
It's not pleasant. And it happens because albumin, the protein in egg whites, is designed to trap air. That's why soufflés rise. It's great for baking.
Terrible for drinking.
Terrible for drinking.
So how do we fix it? The guide had some pro tips.
The number one tip is, stop shaking it like a maniac. You want to mix it gently. Or if you use a blender, you need to use the pre-hydration technique.
Walk me through that.
Don't just dump the powder into a full blender of liquid. You make a slurry.
A slurry.
Yeah, mix the powder with just a tiny bit of water first to create a paste. Let the water actually penetrate the protein granules. Then you add the rest of your liquid. This prevents those dry, chalky bombs that explode in your mouth.
And the ice trick.
Crucial. The chalkiness comes from the texture of the dried protein. Ice creates a shear force in the blender that smooths it out, and the cold temperature masks that eggy flavor profile.
Speaking of flavor, does it taste like eggs?
If you get unflavored, yes, it has a distinct savory sulfurous note.
Whoa.
It's mild, but it's there.
Okay.
The guide recommends vanilla or chocolate for drinking to mask that, but it suggests keeping unflavored around for something else entirely: baking.
I saw that. Pancakes, waffles.
It's a hack.
Yeah.
You can turn a regular muffin into a high-protein meal.
Yeah.
But, and the guide makes a huge point of this, you cannot swap it one-to-one with flour.
Because it's a drying agent.
It sucks up moisture like a sponge. If you just sub it in, you will bake a hockey puck.
Oh, yeah.
You have to increase the liquid in your recipe significantly to compensate.
I feel like I've eaten those hockey pucks before. That explains a lot. One more timing tip the source mentioned, the anabolic window. I thought we debunked this idea that you have to drink protein 30 seconds after lifting.
We sort of did, but the guide brings it back with a nuance. It's not just about the protein, it's about the pairing. Egg white has 0 carbs. 0. If you just finished a hard workout, your glycogen stores are empty. If you just drank egg whites, you're repairing the house, but you haven't paid the electricity bill. You need energy.
So add a banana.
Exactly. The guide suggests consuming it within an hour, but specifically paired with a fast-acting carb. That way, the insulin spike from the banana shuttles the amino acids from the egg into the muscle cells. It's synergy.
Okay, we've covered the science, the label, and the taste. Now let's talk about the hard truths. Segment 4, the trade-offs. Who is this not for?
Well, obviously vegans. It's an animal product. But the bigger issue is allergies. Egg is a top allergen.
But what if I'm not allergic to eggs?
You still need to be careful about cross-contact. The guide highlights this. Many of these processing facilities also handle soy, dairy, and wheat.
Oh.
If you have a severe dairy allergy and the egg white line is right next to the whey line, dust travels.
So check the manufactured in a facility that also processes. Fine print.
Always.
And the final pain point, the wallet. This stuff isn't cheap.
No. In 2026, with inflation, organic egg white protein is a premium product.
Why is it so much more than whey? I feel like milk and eggs are both staples. Why the price gap?
It comes down to the economics of waste versus product. Whey is a byproduct of making cheese.
Right.
They used to just throw it away. It's effectively trash that they turn into gold. The input cost is low. Egg whites are the product. You have to raise the chicken, feed the chicken, house the chicken, break the eggs, separate the white. The input costs are massive compared to whey.
So you're paying for the primary source, not the leftovers.
Correct.
The guide has a section on price and value. It suggests a disciplined purchasing approach, which sounds like code for don't waste money.
It means don't buy the 5-pound tub on day one.
Because of the taste risk. Exactly. Imagine spending $90 on a bulk tub, taking one sip, realizing you can't handle the texture, and now you have a $90 doorstop. The guide urges you to buy sample packets or the smallest tub available first. Prove to yourself you can drink it.
And look for subscriptions.
Subscriptions are the only way to get the price down to a reasonable level long term. Plus, buying direct from the brand usually ensures freshness. The guide warns that egg white powder can go stale. It doesn't rot, but the flavor gets sulfurous if it sits in a warehouse for a year.
Gross. Fresh is best.
Always.
So, let's wrap this up. We're looking at a protein that is biochemically top-tier PDCAA 1.0. It's clean, it's organic, but it's high maintenance. You need a blender, you need a strategy, and you need a bit more tash.
It's a Formula One car. High performance, high maintenance. It's not a Honda Civic.
When you step back and look at this guide, though, what does it tell you about the industry?
It tells me that label literacy is the new standard. 5 years ago, nobody asked for a supplier scorecards. Now, guides like this exist because we, the consumers, are becoming detectives. We want to know the supply chain.
We aren't just trusting the shiny sticker anymore.
And that forces the industry to clean up. Transparency is the only currency left.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought here. The source touched briefly on the industry dynamics regarding sustainability. It mentioned that the supply chain is wrestling with the environmental footprint of raising all these chickens versus the demand for natural products.
It's the central economic tension of our time and food.
It really is. We want clean and simple, which means animals, but we also want to save the planet, which usually means fewer animals. So as we look at this perfect protein, the question is, will the demand for this clean label purity keep driving up the standards for animal welfare and sourcing? Or
will the price eventually get so high that we all just switch to lab-grown fermented proteins that mimic this PDCAAS score without the chicken?
can technology eventually beat nature at its own game? That is the billion-dollar question.
Something to chew on? Or I guess sip on?
Yeah.
With your pre-hydrated slurry. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of organic egg white protein. We hope you feel a little smarter, a little more label literate, and ready to tackle that supplement aisle.
Stay curious, everyone.
We'll catch you on the next one.